When we talk about relationships between people, whether romantic or of any other kind, you expect to be treated well and with basic decency, at the very least. But sometimes, even that's missing. And of course, there are certain men and women who, no matter what you do, will treat you poorly by default without even basic respect. Naturally, it's best to avoid people like that. If we're specifically talking about interactions between men and women, I think it would be foolish to deny that sometimes men themselves behave in ways that cause some women to lose respect for them, even if that respect was there to begin with. In many videos and articles on this topic, certain male behaviors are often highlighted. For example, when a man tries to control, criticize, or gets jealous of a woman. And while there may be reasons for that behavior, I'd like to focus on what I believe is a deeper issue, one that often causes women to lose respect for a man very quickly. I believe it all stems from a man's lack of self-respect. Personally, I support the idea that in a relationship, both the man and the woman should equally respect and value each other. However, many men value and respect themselves far less than they do the woman, even a woman they're meeting for the first time. Unfortunately, when some men see an attractive woman, their sense of self-worth seems to disappear instantly. After that, he starts chasing her, trying to win her over, and investing in her emotionally, financially, and with his time all on his own. Sure, for some women, a man like that might be convenient, but in my opinion, it's a mistake to assume that she respects him in that situation. We need to understand that people tend to value what they've put effort and time into. When something comes too easily, we usually don't see much value in it. So what does that mean? If only the man is investing, while the woman isn't, then he's the only one who will truly value the relationship. In my view, emotional and other forms of investment should come from both sides and be equal. That way, the woman will also appreciate and respect the man in return. Also, from what I've observed, many women tend to have higher self-esteem or self-respect on average compared to men. And I believe a lot of men could actually learn something from that. There are many reasons why things are the way they are, and it often starts in early childhood. A lot of men today grew up without a father. In many cases, they had little to no male guidance at all and were raised solely by their mothers. Men who were raised by both a mother and a father, while not always, of course, tend to have healthier relationships later in life, where both partners contribute equally. Now, we can't change our childhoods, but we absolutely can influence our future. So let's look at two specific ways to do that. The first way to start building self-respect is to take a sheet of paper and write down a list of qualities you want in the woman you'd like to have by your side. Because some men, aside from physical attractiveness, have no real criteria at all. For example, you could write that she must be willing to invest in the relationship, be loyal, kind, caring, and so on. Be specific, define exactly what kindness and care should look like in action. Self-respect in this context means walking away immediately after betrayal, for instance, or after harsh or disrespectful comments directed at you. Once you've written out this list, the key is to actually stick to it and use it as your guide. The second way. Sometimes all it takes to develop self-respect is to identify a harmful mental belief you hold, and then logically break it down to see why it actually doesn't have any solid or reasonable foundation. For example, let's say in a relationship, the woman constantly raises her voice at you, is always irritated and never satisfied. And yet, you don't end the relationship because you're afraid of being alone. You think you won't be able to find anyone better? You believe you couldn't attract a woman who wouldn't behave this way. That right there is a harmful belief. You can challenge it with logic. For instance, chances are you have an average, perfectly normal appearance even if you think it's below average. And even if that's the case, Being well-groomed and in good shape already makes a big difference. That's something you can control. Besides, it's better to be alone than to constantly live under stress. You can keep developing this line of thinking over time, and eventually, that belief will start to fade. This is just one example, but it's extremely helpful to write all of this down on paper and reread it from time to time. In the end, self-respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship. When a man values himself, sets clear standards, and refuses to settle for disrespect, he not only earns the respect of others, but also creates space for a more balanced, fulfilling connection. While past experiences and upbringing can shape us, the power to change lies in our hands. With self-awareness and intentional effort, it's absolutely possible to build relationships where mutual respect, effort, and emotional investment are present on both sides.